democracy, its whole point is not to solve problems because, let's say, problems get solved. Well, then there's nothing to campaign elections on. And for politicians, when everyone's bickering at each other, they're too busy fighting each other. They're not looking at the politicians and going, hey, we see what you're doing. So there's incentive for the politicians in a democracy not to fix anything.
Yeah, this whole system is just pure evil. It's pure evil that pretends to be the greatest good. Because you're never going to convince politicians to do the right thing at the expense of their own power and position. It's never going to happen. And you're never going to convince stupid people, hey, you know what? We're going to take your power from you. Because when you have power, you fuck things up. That's never going to happen. The only way democracy goes away is with hard power or just utter collapse. That's what makes it so fucking evil. And the collapse is inevitable. It never lasts
Yep.
long and it never ends
with the
pretty.
And with the way that we're going, especially when it comes to them fertility rates, we're bound for some form of collapse.
Yeah.
Women are just too fucking picky. And the government actually encourages that. And ultimately, what the government wants is the government basically wants to be, her man. The role that the man is supposed to provide, the government provides. Say what you want. I know some of you aren't the biggest fans of Homath, but he made a video, a recent video in regards to exactly that. He made a video all about just how the only qualified man who could actually take care of all their extravagant standards is the United States government.
It's true.
Uncle Sam getting all that huzz.
Yep. Uncle Sam gets all the hose.
But let's not pretend like that was some accident. Like, that's not what they wanted all along, the government.
Well, yeah.
But, given what I just said, you guys might be wondering, well, why do you spend so much time trying to convince people to become monarchists? Well, truth is, I'm not, truly trying to change their mind. It's more like I'm planting seeds for when the time is right, it'll sprout. When it falls apart, and it will, within our lifetimes, guaranteed, when it falls apart, I don't want to fucking hear, or let alone see, people go, well, that wasn't real democracy, so let's try again. I want people to go, oh, it fell apart just like these people said. I guess democracy is just bullshit. That's what I want.
If people tell me, oh, that wasn't real democracy, oh no, I am going to rip and tear until it is done.
There was a funny meme. It was like the political compass. It shows like the all the scales except the blue. They're all like, that was in real capitalism. That was in real democracy. That was in real communism. And then the blue is just, that was real monarchy. And it was glorious.
Yeah.
We can at least claim that ours were awesome. All the others have to claim, it wasn't the real one.
I mean, to be fair, when you think about it, the US isn't, I guess, a real democracy. A real democracy would actually be far, far worse. Because just imagine each person having a vote on a law or a bill or the budget or something. You want gridlock. That would be a horrible, horrible gridlock.
Oh, we wouldn't have even lasted this long if that was the case.
Even when they say this isn't real democracy is worse.
Yeah, technically that's true. We're not a real democracy because, a real democracy wouldn't last 5 minutes. Who decides what gets voted on? Who decides how the vote is implemented when it's voted on? Real democracy is literally every little thing is put up to a vote, and that's just plain impossible. Even more impossible than communism. So technically, yeah. And it's like I've said for a long time now, the only way to make democracy work is to make it less democratic.
That's also a form of inevitability too. It's like, if you want this thing to last longer than, I don't know, 50 years, it's like, you can't let every retard under the sun vote. You have to restrain that power somehow. And wouldn't you know, our government has found many ways to do that over the years, which is why just another and many, many reasons why democracy is fake, cringe, and gay.
Our founding fathers, they thought about this supposedly, and they tried to make it, only very specific people can vote, just like it was in England before them. Only very specific people can vote because democracy always ends up like this and always ends up like that. But my argument is, well, you guys are morons if you thought this was always going to be. If you thought, like,
Yeah.
it's always going to be this restrictive. Of course not, because voting is power, and people always do what it takes to get more power or to keep their power. And that means more people voting, especially the idiots, more often.
Yeah, for some reason they did not consider the whole let's remove these restrictions part. It's like maybe they should have added some no, you cannot change this.
Would that have
Oh,
really changed
then-
anything, though?
but then
Name
they
Pete on
would
the
have
rest of
changed
the
that.
amendments, then laws.
under Tsar Nicholas, yeah, people complain about him, but the country became increasingly industrializing. It was about to become a world power very soon. Like, and then they got destroyed by the Bolsheviks, and then the same thing happened. Except that one was a lot more radical because it was communism. But you see the problem here? It just seems more like a tool. While like you literally what you said, Archaeosophy. Like this is why revolutions don't work. Revolutions are leftist tactics. That literally is one for the tools of the elites, which they used to kill off the kings.
That's why I'm against like monarchists rising up or some shit like that, because when the sheep gather and the sheep try to fight back, like you're going to get sheepish results. You're not going to get elite results of any kind. You're not going to get anything that really makes sense. It's always communist or democratic. Democracy is just really, really slow communism anyway. Yeah. I mean, democracy is nothing but a weapon. It's a tool to pacify the sheep, get them to shut up and stop asking questions, even if they ask questions all the time and they bicker and they don't trust their government. They're either fighting each other too much to do anything, or they're just unhappy, but as long as they're being fed, whatever, they won't do anything. But they still have faith in the voting process. Like as much as they bitch, they'll still wait until the next election, and then something, it doesn't go the way they want, and then they wait till the next election, and then the next one, into infinity. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
It's a weapon. Nothing more. I've been saying this for months and months. Like, what's the solution? We either wait for it to fall apart, or we form our own society and just wait until like we out procreate them, or we just simply outlast them. But it's never going to happen from like any sort of sweeping or like ground swelling. We rise up and then just boom, America's a kingdom. Like, it's not going to happen because the people are too stupid, and there's too many of them, and they believe in democracy. They always will. The weak always want power. That's why democracy can never die peacefully. The weak always want power, and democracy's entire purpose is to give power to the weak and the stupid and the useless.
I mean, it's like Lamented says, power is not bottom to top, it's top to bottom. And, let's say you get all the regular people to revolt and put in monarchy. That's not going to happen because they're all going to bicker about who's king. As you were saying, and like Lamented like saying, someone has to stand at the top, whether it's an elite or someone who just goes through a trial by fire.
Yep. So like either follow your own king, like follow your own king now while things are still stable enough. You'll have, at the very least, you'll have a support network for when it falls apart. You'll have each other. Like, why not do this now? That's why I've been trying to get it going for several months. It's never going to be like the people aren't going to vote for a king, even if that was presented to them as an idea. If the king does anything they don't like, then they're just going to be like, well, let's vote him out now. Like, oh, so nothing changed.
But your idea will work in the longer term because, let's say 10 years from now, our little community has built up to be, I don't know, let's say 100 or 200 people strong. If the US falls apart, well, everyone else's life might be a lot harsher, but with like 100 or two of us working together, we'll all be better off.